It's with great pleasure today I introduce John Jempson, the Group Finance Director of Energy Fitness. John, thank you for joining me today.
Welcome. Hi.
Would you mind just introducing yourself and what you do to start with?
Yeah, sure. So I'm Group Finance Director for Energy Fitness. I've been with the business for 2.5 years. Prior to that, I worked in the hospitality sector. So worked for 15 years across mainly restaurants. Spent 8 years with Whitbread PLC and latterly 6 years with TGI Fridays. And then decided to take a jump out of the hospitality sector and join the leisure and fitness sector, which was definitely the right move at the right time, I think.
Yeah, I was about to say after this year. I mean, but saying that, it's not all been sort of, swings and roses, is it? At the moment with the gym world. I mean, how have you found the year?
It's been a tough year. I think there's, joking about it, it's been a tough year across every sector and every industry. And gyms have been impacted significantly. I mean, first of all, we're a franchisor, so we don't run our gyms ourselves. So primarily we're a franchisor. We grant 10-year licenses to people who want to run their own businesses and invest in the fitness sector. And franchisees look to us for support in terms of all of the training, and never more have they required more support, especially around cash flow planning and financial side of business, than they have over the last 9 months for obvious reasons. The first lockdown came very quickly in the fact that we were given very short notice from the government that the gyms were shutting on the 24th of March, and clearly that followed a 5-month period of where the whole gyms were shut. So it was tough across the whole of our sector for that period of time.
Yeah, absolutely. And, I guess with the franchisee side of things, there was that story about, was it one of the other gym companies, I think in Luton, put out a pretty poor marketing campaign, to do with Black Lives Matters, and how easy or difficult has that been, I guess, controlling the franchisees and working with them over the year?
Very, yeah. So we got on the front foot very quickly in setting up. We almost did webinars over that weekend. So the gym shut on the Friday. We set webinars up across the network very, very quickly on the Saturday and the Sunday, and communicated very quickly to our franchisees what the plan was, and we were going to stick together. Don't go off and do your own thing. Don't go and freeze every single membership. Let's work through this together. Let's get the communication clear to the members, and make sure that they know what we're doing and how we were going to approach it from there. And what we didn't want to do was all of our members to cancel overnight. Because when we first started the first lockdown, nobody knew how long it was going to last. Was it going to be a week, 2 weeks? Was it going to be a month? Ended up being 4 or 5 months, as you know. But we had to be absolutely clear in our communications, and that was the first key thing that we needed to do. Yeah,
no, it sounds a good plan. And I guess then over the course of the year, what did the business sort of do to get through it, or other than that? So what were the actual actions that took place?
So clearly from that first 2 weeks that we first entered the first lockdown, I mean, never have I done such detailed cash flow planning in my entire life. I mean, P&L, balance sheet, put those aside. Let's focus completely on cash flow planning. And we had daily board meetings. We were privately equity owned at the time, and we had daily board meetings, and it was all about exactly what we were going to pay, who we were going to pay, from day by day. And if there was ever a time that a CFO or an FD needed to step up in that board arena, and they almost drove the agenda on those board meetings to say, look, guys, this is the situation. Effectively, our revenue got switched off overnight on that 24th of March. So people weren't going to be buying franchise sales. Why would you? And the revenue that we were getting through, we agreed that we would give back to our franchisees in some sort of support. So the royalties that we were getting in, we gave back to our franchisees. Right. So effectively, the revenue gets switched off overnight, but you're still holding or covering a high volume of overheads through the business. Now, some things we managed to switch off immediately, but other things that we took advantage of the furlough scheme. We took advantage of all of the government incentives that they gave through to us as well. But yeah, it was those first 2 weeks that we really had to nail down the cash flow planning to make sure that we were looking forward, going forward, and we were going to see ourselves out of it. And like I said, we didn't know when this was going to end.
Yeah. Do you think businesses, private equity backed, are in a better place than those that are sort of PLC in these types of markets and these types of conditions, or not?
Not necessarily. So effectively, what happened with energy was the private equity firm that owned us at the time, along with we had a term loan with the bank, couldn't agree on how to fund the business during that period of time. Now, long story short, but effectively what happened is the private equity stepped away from the business. Right. And they felt they were over leveraged in the business. They had another gym business in other parts of the world. So it became clear that their appetite for funding the business going forward wasn't there. And what effectively happened in July this year was an MBO took place. So the previous founder of Energy, who ran the business for 15 years, came back in with an MBO team and brought the business back off of the administrators. So Energy continues to survive and continues to thrive, which is fantastic. So in a year, we sold the business in August 2019, and then less than a year later went through an MBO. So it's been one hell of a year.
So I guess, in terms of changes in the business, obviously that's a big change in ownership, but in terms of more operational or whatever, what changes and what did the business learn that you think moving forward it will actually take forward and benefit the business?
Sure. So during the first lockdown, it became very, very clear that our communications out to the members were: don't cancel. We will give you the option to freeze your membership. So we're not going to charge you, and you're going to get some free time back when the gyms open up again. 30% of our members left. So 30% of them still cancelled on the back of that. And we think, that wasn't too badly managed. When we came out of lockdown 1, we learned that we had to offer our members something completely different. Otherwise, we would see exactly the same drop-offs in future lockdowns. And some of the franchisees wouldn't have been able to survive through that period. So as soon as we knew that the lockdown 2 was coming, 2.0 is coming in November, we took a completely different tact by saying, what else can we offer our members to keep them engaged and keep them? So we went through this omni-channel presence. So we said, we are now going to offer you 3 streams of fitness. Firstly, the gym, which you may not be able to open. You can still do it up to tier 3, but not in tier 4. We're also going to go outdoors. So we're linking very heavily with BMF, Be Military Fit, and they operate an outdoor. So we're in partnership with those to offer that outdoor presence as well.
Okay.
But the most important thing, as you would have seen during lockdown 1, Joe Wicks came from nowhere with his online classes for children. We've gone very, very heavy with an online class presence. So we went out to the network, hired a lot of PTs, got them to design their own classes that were signed off by our own master instructor here at head office. And we did a huge online presence, from 6 o'clock in the morning right through to 8, 9 o'clock at night. We encouraged gyms to do the same and gave them guidelines and gave them classes. It's worked brilliantly. So our cancellations for the month of November were less than they were in October when the gyms were open.
Wow.
So that just shows you that the engagement and being able to think outside the box and offer your members something completely different has caused such a positive response, not just in the members, but in the franchisees. And clearly, there's a real buzz around the building here as well. The engagement from that is just fantastic. And that's worked really, really, really well for us.
It's interesting because I think that productization, that looking at the way different products can be delivered and things has been a massive thing. And I know something I spent quite a lot of time in as well. So I do think that's the way a lot of businesses have gone. It's really interesting. Okay, and I guess last question then is, what advice would you give to anyone in the finance world, moving forward now after what's, everything that's gone on?
If there's one piece of advice I'll give to anybody throughout their finance career, build a network and also get some mentoring as well.
Yeah.
I've benefited hugely from people mentoring me through my career. And it's really, they choose your mentors wisely, make sure they've got the experience, at board level, etc., but they will help you grow your career. So those are the things that I would definitely, my word of advice: speak to people, share experiences, come together through areas of this pandemic, and I think it will benefit you no end.
Brilliant. Thank you, John. Very kind, good advice, and I really appreciate your time today. Thanks very much for joining me.
No problem. It's been a pleasure. Thank you.
Thanks, John.